All right, everyone. Welcome to our team call. It is October 22nd, and you guys are in for a treat tonight. Couple quick announcements before we get started. The first thing I wanted to share was we have 4 people who have earned Disney so far. Erin Izzo, Vanessa Iverson, Carly and Katie Nestor, and Zoe Scott. Marilyn Bocott is less than 1,000 points away. And we've got a couple others that are really making some major headway. So I think by this time next week, we'll have a couple more earners as well. And I know so many of you guys are going for it. And it is all about your people sharing with people. Today I had someone share and I got 500 points just like that. More than that, like 560 points for one person sharing with one person. So it can still happen for you. Even though the time is starting to run out here and we're down to a few weeks, if you really want this, get your people sharing. And that's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm super excited for our speaker. Before I bring her on, remember that tomorrow as a team and as a company, you're going to see this everywhere, we are really going to be promoting our 2 new products, the raspberry cheesecake shake coming back and our new vanilla almond cranberry bars. So you'll see everyone posting tomorrow in the product page on our walls. We're going to really be promoting the daylights out of the new products tomorrow. So for those of you that haven't gotten the memo yet on that, tomorrow is the day we're really going to be promoting and hoping to really boost sales for not only our team, but the entire company. All right, without further ado, I am so excited to share with you guys tonight my friend Susan Miller. She is from Foxborough, and I was just out there with her and her family for a few days, and I've known her for a while. My very first Top Achiever event, I went all by myself. Scott didn't come with me. I didn't have any team members there. I knew Kathy and Bill Helwig in my upline. I knew them, but that was really it. And it was uncomfortable to say the least for me because you guys know I'm a social butterfly, but I also like to know people. So going into a brand new environment where I didn't really know anyone was definitely a little uncomfortable. And I went out to the pool and I bumped into Susan and some of her team members sitting around having a drink, and they invited me to sit down. And I pretty much was glued to them for the rest of the 4 days. And they were just so welcoming to me. And I asked all the newbie questions, and they were so kind and answered everything. And so from that day forward, I've just always looked forward to seeing Susan and her team at events and getting to spend a few days with her. I mean, I got to even go into her home. I got to go to a party with her team, really got to know her and her husband and her daughter, Chelsea, a lot more. It was just amazing. And it doesn't take much for me. I'm fired up a lot. You guys know this. My belief is like way up here. So it's not like I have to have someone pouring belief into me because I already have it. But I'm telling you what, after listening to Susan and a couple people on this call were at the Super Saturday she spoke at and planned, and it was such an amazing event. I'm still in the clouds from that event. I am so fired up for the future and what is available to all of you guys. And no one will get you more fired up than this lady. So I want to bring on Susan, give you a little bit of her background, and then have her share her story with you. She started off as in the salon industry. Been an entrepreneur for most of her life, all of her adult life. She owned a personal care company, and she started network marketing at the age of 27 with her husband. They became millionaires in that first business and walked away from it. And they left the industry for 15 years, you guys. And the only thing that brought them back was Isagenix. And hearing her story is amazing because Kathy Coover personally called her when this company got kicked off, and Susan said no, it wasn't the right timing. Herb and Patty Cepeda called her, and she said no, it wasn't the right time. So I'm going to have her share the story, but just hearing the conviction and the belief and the confidence in her posture is going to completely fire you guys up. So Susan, we are so thrilled to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I'd do anything for you, girl. You're just been such a beautiful spirit, and you're always contributing anything you can. I see you flying all over the country for everybody. So anything I can do to give back, I'm here.
Well, let's start with why did you finally say yes to Isagenix after being out of the industry for 15 years? Share a little bit of your story with everyone, because not everybody knows your story.
Sure, no problem. The thing is to say why I came back would be having to explain why I left. And so, I came from the salon industry. I knew about exchanging time for money as a hairdresser. And I have to cue it up by explaining my first introduction to this business was through a financial model, not through the product model. And so what happened was I was 27 years old. I owned a cosmetic company. My husband owned a property and casualty business. At the time, we were living in Boca Raton, Florida. And we were prospected to come into the business. And I didn't understand why they thought somebody who sold the wrong product would want to sell somebody else's. I got it that I was personal care and they were skincare, but it wasn't working. And so I went as a courtesy to a friend, and I walked into a room. And at the time, there were 300 people in that room, and half of them were men. And it was a prospecting, it was an opportunity meeting, actually. And I knew immediately that I was missing something, And so I walked up to the front of the room and I sat down. And they started talking about things like trends and timing. And they talked about things like linear income as opposed to leveraged income, as opposed to this residual income that I had never heard of before. I mean, I understood royalty, but I had never heard of residual income. And so there were these two men, and the minute they opened their mouths, they were from Boston. I could tell immediately. So I had this immediate okay, I got to figure out who these guys are. And they're dressed in suit and ties. And to be honest, nobody was talking about the product. Truth. And all they do is they brought a lot of people up on stage, and they said, what careers are you from? And they were all from different careers, which really intrigued me because they were all professionals, from being a police officer to a teacher to a CEO. I mean, these were people that came from every walk of life. And they would say how much they loved the company and how much they loved an individual product that they were endorsing, not selling. Okay. And they didn't try to become these chemists to try to explain. I could have explained to you what was going on in those products, and I eventually did at one point in that company. But then they talked about the money. They talked about getting in front of a trend before the whole world found out about it. And so that intrigued me. And then the gentleman happened to mention he was making $50,000 a month. And that just blew my mind. And I'm like, did he mean to say a year? Because that's a lot of money. And this is my industry, and I'm not making that kind of money. And so at the end of the meeting, I walked up to him and I asked him, did you mean to say a year? And he goes, no, a month. And I said, can you prove that? And he said, yes. And so he did. And then I asked him, I said, there's no way you're doing this selling hand cream. And he goes, you're right. And he goes, I go, can you show me how? And he goes, I can. And he showed me exactly what he did. I was an excellent student. I duplicated it to a T. And 8 months later, I had replaced a full-time six-figure income from my own company. 3 months later, I had replaced a full-time six-figure income from my husband's property and casualty business. And they were mid six figures. They were decent incomes, guys. And we were in shock. And I looked at my husband and I said, if I could do this part-time in the pockets of my life, and I'm talking, I was already putting in a good 60 hours a week into the salon. So he had told me you had to put in, 8, 10, 12 hours a week in order to do this, but it had to be consistent effort. It wasn't that you need to do a lot of it. You just need to be consistent with it. Mm-hmm. And so I borrowed some time from my company, and I took some time from my personal life, which wasn't a lot. And I didn't do this on Zoom or on the internet. I did this belly to belly, and I duplicated exactly what he said would happen. And it was because the company was also in vertical growth at the time. But we weren't doing party plans. We were talking to people about a financial opportunity. But there were some people that did do the parties. There was this one product that was a non-surgical facelift, and they put on half the face, and the people would walk out looking like a stroke patient. So they had to buy the bottle to leave. It was pretty funny, but I never did that. And that was my industry, but I didn't have the time. I was running a full-time company. So if I had a chance to sit down with somebody, it was talking about the money, not the product sold itself. It was all the good, none of the bad. Put it on your face, and use it. And so what happened was we ended up becoming very successful. We left the company 1 year in, our own businesses. Our family thought we were in a cult, because, we're living in South Florida. What are they doing down there? They're selling their companies, and they're off with this other company. They're traveling the world. My husband went throughout Korea. I went out throughout Europe. We met in between. We had the time of our lives. we had our daughter, Chelsea, at around, I think we were 32, and something happened. We noticed that it wasn't duplicating. When we slowed down and our volumes, the company had gone through this growth and then it started to plateau. And what we realized is that that's normal, by the way, in a growth of a business, and then you grow again. The challenge is people couldn't hold on to what they had accomplished at all, not even a little bit. I mean, it's okay to dip. It's just not okay to nosedive. And that would mean, and they weren't doing it because the people weren't using the product. The compensation plan was too difficult. Mm-hmm. And it was because it was multi-level marketing. And multi-level marketing notoriously, and this was a breakaway, and I don't know if many people know about that, but we had to build 12 wide to get paid 6 deep. I mean, do I need to say any more? You had to do $3,000 in volume every month. And if you didn't meet your criteria to get paid, the volumes flushed away and you had to start all over again every single month. And so what the problem was, and when Kathy says, if it's not good for the associate, it's not good for us. It's got to be good for everybody. It has to be so simple that anyone 18 to 80 can do it. Mm-hmm. And when we realized that it wasn't, and that you had to either have gotten in very early or been entrepreneurial minded people to begin with, that you knew what it meant to show up in your own life and run and really run a business, which we knew how to do, the chances are you weren't going to succeed at it. And so those were our family and friends, and we were heartbroken. And I cue you all up on this to explain to you why I left, because once you fall out of belief in something, you cannot share it. You cannot continue to share something that you don't believe in. I felt like I built a business on the backs of my family and friends. And, I can make money doing anything. I don't have to do it that way. Mm-hmm. And it legitimately broke our hearts. And so we left the industry. We didn't go to another company. We simply retired from the industry altogether and went out and started our own independent, going back to traditional business, which we knew. I actually retired and raised my kids for 15 years here in Boston, Massachusetts. And the beautiful thing is, to this day, 25 years later, I still earn an income from that company. Enough so to pay my daughter's $250,000 college debt and not leave her with a debt after college, and to put my son through private high school, and to be a stay-at-home mom during that whole time. So I knew residual income worked. I just knew that multi-level marketing didn't, not for everybody. And so when Kathy Cooper called me in 2002, I said no. And I said no when Patty and Herb Cepeda called me in 2007 when they started. And both times it was for different reasons. The first time I wasn't even open when Kathy called me. It was just like I had left the industry and I wasn't coming back. And so when you're not open, you can't hear what people are saying. And I say this to you so you understand that when you're looking for people, I always ask them, are you open? It's the first thing I ask people. If you're not open, I'm not here to convince you. Okay, if it's not the right time in your life, which was the second thing that had happened, I invested a lot of money into a new skincare company for myself, and it wasn't the right time. I couldn't do it. So you have to honor and respect that from people. We're not here to try to convince the world that they need to start their own business. And that's what we're actually asking. I mean, it's one thing if you're just sharing a product, but to be very honest with you, when Kathy Cooper called me back in 2012, and the reason I came back on board is because they got the financial model right. But I knew that they were going to be here in 30, 40, 50 years. I knew that, by them raising Eric to be the next generation for them, that meant my daughter and my son would have something that I could build to hand to them. There's so many companies out there that are just selling a product. They have no intention of building a company. That's one reason. The second reason was because it was in an industry that was not just a Me Too product, and it was in an industry that was in vertical growth, which is in the anti-aging health and wellness industry. So you always want to be in an industry that's in growth. Timing, the company right then, she called me and said, Susan, we're about to go through vertical growth. I'm like, you haven't done that yet? And the reason why they hadn't done it is because they didn't falsely promote the financial opportunity before they actually had a product that worked. And so they built this through a grassroots campaign, which was brilliant because that's the way it should have been built. But most of these companies don't build that way. They come out just like the one I was with, and I didn't know any better. I just did what they taught me, is that we sold a financial opportunity. And the product was part of that model. It had to be emotional, consumable, and have a result attached to it. And so it worked. It had to be a good product, but it didn't have to be everything. I tell people all the time, there are wonderful products out there in the world. We don't have to have the absolute best products. What we need to do is find a network of consumers who have a vested interest in staying with that product for life. And that vested interest is a financial opportunity to be involved, not just getting your products for free. It means, that's your customer. You want them to stay a consumer. But if you're trying to build a network that will go on with or without you, You want that network buying into the concept that if we all become a committed consumer to this model, that we get to participate in a piece of this company's growth, that we get to actually build an asset. And so I knew Jim and Kathy Coover were the heroes of this industry when I saw this compensation plan. When I called my husband from NYKO and they flew me out to take a look at it, I brought my then 18-year-old daughter with me. And the first thing I said to him, you're not going to believe this compensation plan. It wasn't, you're not going to believe these products. It was, you're not going to believe this compensation plan, what they're doing. And people are using the product in the room. I mean, that was just a no-brainer. You know, people are walking around and eating the bars and drinking their shakes. And so you knew people loved the product. It wasn't just all business. But I tell people all the time, I'm not here building a worldwide business because I love the products. I love wine. I'm not building a worldwide business because I love wine. I'm building it because Kathy and Jim Coover got the financial model correct in an industry that's in vertical growth. And I get to participate in that. And so I joined it in 2012 thinking we'd eventually go into the top-down model, which is through the financial opportunity, because we'd already been a 10-year-old company. But guys, these products have dominated. And everybody's been building through the products. And this was new territory for me. And so my team has been very well educated on network marketing, even though they still built through the product. I built and taught that your goal is to teach the financial opportunity. So you can talk all day long about the products and never mention the business. But you cannot talk about this business and not mention our products.
Yeah.
And so why not do both?
One of the things that so impressed me, I'd love you to share this with the team, is, you shared that you personally enrolled 200 people to have an organization of 100,000. That is mind-boggling. So just to show you guys a little bit of a comparison here, I've shared with approximately 300 people to have 37,000. And we do talk about the business, but Susan has always talked about the business. So I feel like the company, when we got started, because we got started at the same time, Susan, we went into this fear mode where everyone got so nervous about talking about the business and being compliant that we kind of backed off, and it was all product for a while, where I think you stayed true to the business that whole time. Many of us backed off a little bit because we were fearful, and now we're coming back. So share a little bit about that, because I know we chatted a little bit about this book, and you guys, everyone on our team, you're going to want to read the 45-second presentation that will change your life from Don Falia. It was brought up at Susan's Super Saturday. I can't remember who brought it up, but it is an unbelievable book. Lori Olson and her team have been reading it. Alex and Kelly and their teams have been reading it. And it is exactly what Susan's talking about. It is teaching people to share the business opportunity. So maybe speak a little bit to that, because
so I wanted to you on all this so you knew where I was coming from the business.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for a company to get ready to be able to say, look, we have 5 solutions. 4 of them are product for a reason. That is the cornerstone of what it is that we share and how we create our income. But unless you build a network of consumers who are going to order every month, regardless if they have enough shakes, regardless if they, didn't necessarily need anything right then and there, they're going to order every single month. Why? Because they're getting paid to do so. I continue to order a product from a company 25 years ago. I'm down to the shampoo and conditioner. I can promise you I could have found a better shampoo and conditioner by today. But I buy it every single month because why? Not because I love the product. It's because they pay me, and not because I just get it for free. It's because they pay me really, really well to do so. And that is what we have right now with the 5th solution. We are proven, guys. This is not an if come maybe. This is a sure thing. If you build this business over the next 3 to 4 years, and you help take this company through its second wave, which will become what we refer to as a critical mass. The first wave is momentum. The second wave is because we have so many people right now that are professional network marketers in our company now. Even whether they came in as an accidental entrepreneur, building through the product and then evolving into our industry, or they came in as an intentional entrepreneur where they were prospect directly because of the business opportunity and came on board because they wanted the financial opportunity. The difference is that we now have this army of people that are going to go out there and share the financial opportunity. And all I can say to you is if you go out and continue to just talk about our products, you're not going to catch the second wave, or you're not going to get the biggest piece of it that you should have. And I just want to inspire you guys all to want to do this, because there is a convergence of trends that are taking place right now that are dramatically impacting the financial opportunity. And this is what I train my people on. And I have been waiting to share this for so long. I was waiting for the right time in our company, because it's so important that people understand timing is really important, not just in your life, in your prospect's life, but that life of the company. They had to be ready for it as well. And when our CEO, Travis Ogden, got up last year and said, we're going to go from 1 billion to 2 billion within the next 3 to 4 years, I went, yes, it's here. The timing is here. And now the only way we're going to do that is through international expansion, vertical growth, and in recruiting more people to do the international expansion, and more product consumption. But for me, the product consumption is a no-brainer. Okay, everybody on my team, buy the new shakes, buy the new bars, okay? I'm not even looking for new customers. I'm just my own team alone. Just buy it. My volume, our volumes will all grow if you just get your people to all go in and buy inventory for themselves to try these new things. That's what they're for. It's to just put a bump in your growth, right? But nothing is going to replace going out and building a network of consumers with this financial opportunity. So here's what's happening. You have the U economy. You heard about that at NYKL. But the U economy is driven by two different markets, right? It's driven by the millennials. We have a recent study from Bentley University here in Boston, Massachusetts, that talked about doing a study where they got 75%. We all know that of the millennials will be in the workforce by 2025. 75% of our workplace is going to be millennials, guys. There is a study now showing that 66% of them do not want to work in corporate America. They want to own their own business. Okay? And so then if you look at that, and then you look at the fact that you have the baby boomers, which is the next generation of people that are all looking at retiring, and kids going through college and weddings, and retirement's not even on the table anymore, that only 1 in 3 Americans have money saved. And of those 1 in 3, 50% of them only have $10,000 in their bank. Guys, we have a solution for both of these people. We have the career opportunity for the millennials, and we have the exit strategy and the retirement plan for the baby boomers. And the thing about the U economy is the U economy is so much of it is linear. With eBay and Uber and Lyft and Airbnb, it's so linear that you're still exchanging time for money, right? Whereas we offer you to build an asset. If you're going to put the time and effort in over the next 3 to 4 years, why not put it into something that's going to give you a return on your investment for the rest of your life? If you build it once and you make sure you build a solid foundation, which means you build it not just upon consumers, you build it where you have business builders and the consumer are one and the same. I am a business builder, but I am a huge consumer. My husband just had me order $500 worth of product. I'm like, you need to sign some people up. Like, that's a lot of money, because he's just got so excited about the product. And here's the thing. My husband just walked away from his career. He's owned a very successful college planning company for the last 20 years where he had buildings, employees. It was a national brand. And here's the thing. He can be the first person to tell you that people are not prepared to pay for college. This is a solution for people. So how do you find that out? Is you ask a lot of questions. But we already know that we have the youth don't want to work for other people anymore. And we already know that the people who are aging, like myself and Cindy and older, we're thinking of our kids. We're thinking of our own retirement, but we still have our children to make sure that they're okay, that we need another solution, because what we're doing is not working for a country.
Right.
And then you have the technology revolution. Well, that's a no-brainer. That's the fuel for the entrepreneur. The ability to just take your phone and be able to build your business anywhere in the world where you want to go. My then 18-year-old daughter today is 25, and she's the #2 income earner in the Start Group under the age of 25. And we get the honor of being able to be on stage with our children at NYKO talking about this ability to pass this on as a legacy to the next generation. Well, my daughter gets this. She was living in Bali for 4 months. I think she was just duplicating PETA because she heard Peter Kelly talk the story. And her reason for coming in, funny thing is, was not really about the money. It was about the community. She's a dreamer, like many of us. I always tell people, who are you looking for? You're looking for that dreamer who still wants more and is willing to show up in their own life to make a difference. And so you take all of that, where you have the converging of a trend of a U economy, and then you have that fueled by our millennials and our baby boomers, and then you have the technology revolution that's making that so simple for people to do this anywhere in the world, and then you add in the wellness revolution, of course, people, that we have this need for us to go back to the grassroots of how to stay healthy, that you're not going to do it taking a pill, that we need to rewind the clock and go back to natural, healthy, safe foods, right, and have an alkaline body. And you put these trends all coming together at the exact same time. Our industry is coming of age. And our company are the heroes of that industry.
Yeah.
That is called a perfect storm of opportunity.
Yeah.
And right now, we're getting ready for a tsunami, guys. I promise you that.
So exciting. Okay, so another thing I really want you to speak to, I was so impressed when I came to the first social was your social, and there was so many professional people there. And then on Saturday at your event, you had the winner of the CrossFit Games who left a multi six-figure income to do Isagenix full-time with you. It was person after person with amazing stories. I want you to share, how have you attracted people like that to this? Because I think we need to dream bigger on who we're attracting. I was the stay-at-home mom that just wanted to stay home with her kids, and I know we're going to attract people like me, but you've attracted some really exceptional professional people. Speak to that, because those would be people that might be on a lot of our team's chicken list, and I want them to know how you've done this, because it's amazing to me.
So everything I just shared with you, I shared with them. Mm-hmm. That's it. Truth. It's like some of them, I signed up right away, like that guy you were talking about, Joe Ames, he was a CrossFit champion for the games in 2015. He's gone every year. He used Isagenix to get there that year, would take some credit for that one. So there was a win for Isagenix product, but he was watching me. And when I signed him up for the business, he said, Susie, can I just say no to the opportunity? And I said, yes, of course. I said, but you've got to get on these products, Joe, because, you're buying them anyways at GNC. This is a .com ability to one-stop shop, get your product at home, deliver it to your door. And I said, not for nothing. I said, you're going to wish you were signed in if you didn't, because I'm building this. And I have no problem proving to you how it works. And so I went out and I created a success story for myself and my team. And I had a lot of people watching me. And I know that to be because I signed up many of them. I circled back to them. I showed them what we've created. They've seen, I didn't tell them my success story. I let other people tell them my success story. They started hearing about it. And then I circled back to them and I dripped on them and dripped on them and dripped on them. Okay. So a lot of them, they didn't come in right off the very get-go with me, but they are now. And they are now because here's the thing about it, it's a domino effect. You get one person that has credibility and then another person that has this credibility and then a third person. Then all of a sudden 4, 5, and 6 people look at that going, what am I missing? And so why I highlight so many professionals when I had my Super Saturday is the name of it was called The Next Wave. We had Dr. Josh do a product educational format of it, but I talked to him for like 3 different times to say he originally was going to do a 72 slideshow presentation. I'm like, this is not a dissertation. We are not, I'll be very honest with you. There is never a time ever in my life that I want to be a nutritional coach. That is not why I'm back in this industry. I'm back in this industry because I'm a professional network marketer and I know how to build networks of consumers, and I don't have to be the expert in the product. I have to be the expert in how to build the network. And I let the people who are the experts in the product, i.e. the company, do the talking for me. And then if I bring on people like you had Melissa Hinault, you saw her, she's a PharmaD, she is a PhD in pharmacy, and she was able to she paid off her college debt doing this as a side hustle alongside with
$200,000 of student debt.
and the thing is that she was pregnant and she traveled for a living. And so what was her need? She wanted to be home and raise her baby. She got emotional on stage talking about the fact that her first two children, she didn't see them walk the first time, that it was her mother that had to see them. And so when you start tapping into the emotions of what people want, the people that are doing it that are not interested, it's because we don't offer a solution that they're interested in. That's not, or they're not open. Neither is our challenge. Our challenge is to find the people who are open. It's not to find everybody that needs what we have. They should all use the product without a doubt, but not everybody wants to start their own business. So you look for the people who want what we have. And so for me, I just, when you say, we're going to promote all these products tomorrow, on my personal page, Facebook, you will never see me posting about product. What I'll do is we post it all over our team pages, and we tell our team people to do the same. And I said, listen, depending on your audience, and this is really key, know your audience. My audience of people that I want to attract are not people that want to do the home party plan. It's too long of a conversion to bring a customer in, to turn them into a fan, to become a business builder. And I'm not opposed to it. Put it this way, I'm not opposed to at all to ever get a customer who I can then cultivate. But if I'm looking to grow through this next phase, for me, I'm looking for the intentional entrepreneur, not the accidental one. But I will work with anybody. But my focus is 80% looking for the intentional entrepreneur. And I always say I get my customer by default because they say no to me for the business, so I get them for the product. And then they might eventually become an accidental entrepreneur because they're observing what's going on around us.
Right. And there goes your retention too. And your retention has to be super high because you have people that are ordering, so they get that paycheck every month.
I tell people, I said, look, I started off with 200 people. I can turn one person into 1,000 people because that's network marketing. When you are just doing the recruiting, if you are the sponsor monster or you're the person who just, I understand because it's like that instant gratification. You get that sale and you feel like you got somebody, but that person has no intention of sharing. Or if they share, they just share with two people, but you've never explained to them the model of the committed consumer, of how that would work exponentially and pay out everybody. They're just looking at that accidental entrepreneur. Let me just show you how to get your products paid for. I want to show the big picture to everybody and let them decide where they fit in it. But everybody will say to you, bar none, we'll have to try the product. I'm like, well, of course. Great. Let's get you on a value pack. The best product both physically and financially, because why? Because if you duplicate a value pack, by the way, it's $85. If you duplicate a 30-day or you duplicate a pace setter, it's $150. Meaning, if you bring in two people with the exact same package of a 30-day or a pace setter, you're ending up paying $150 for that product package after you get your money back. If you duplicate a value pack, you earn enough back that it's only $85. And you're getting twice as much product from the 30-day, and you're getting vitamins from the pace setter, and that can be a game changer for people right there. But more importantly, from a business perspective, people are making a lot more money up front. They're getting a lot more product to try as their investment, and also you're putting 320 BV into your compensation plan. You realize you have to sign up 2 people for every one? You have to work twice as hard. So when I'm talking to somebody else from a financial standpoint, guess what goes out the window? The concern of the investment. I'm like, do you realize that, I don't know about you, but do you know any company that you can start for under $1,000? You can have an operational expense of about $2,500 for the entire year. And oh, by the way, you get to consume it. And you have the upside potential of earning a 6-figure income, whether it's this year or next year or 3, in residual. Meaning you build it once, and if you build it right, you build it on a foundation where your team understands their job. What is their job? It's to consume a minimum of $100 worth of product, business volume of product a month, and duplicate that out to their teams and teach them why they're doing it, why we are committed consumers, because the company is going to pay us for life, for whatever gets continued consumed.
That's great. All right. Couple questions coming up in the chat, Susan. What kind of events do you have? And do you call them wellness events, workshops? Do you do more socials like I experienced with you? I kind of got the impression what you...
Well, we throw parties. Let me
Parties.
just tell you that. But that's my team. So, my last team party at Las Vegas was $45,000 that we threw. I mean, we throw parties. And it's all like we offset it. Our team pays for some, a big chunk of it, but we offset it. So we try to keep it under the $100 per person, but we make it something that you just do. It's the one thing they talk about when they leave, because I truly believe I'm a total yellow, which means I'm all about the fun, but I have red right down my center, which means it's the money. So you got to have fun, but you got to make money. And the reality is that people want to be a part of this community more than anything. And what they're seeing us doing is traveling to these events and wearing gowns, and everyone's happy and fun, and they're working and they're trudging through life, and they're getting and we're having this fun. And it's all about that for so many people. The money is a part of it for sure, but there'll be plenty of people that'll stick around just to be part of your community as well. So I do that from a team's perspective. From a prospecting perspective, I do not hold wellness events because that's not the industry I'm in. For me, what I am in the industry of is network marketing. I'm a professional network marketer, and I'm teaching people how to become a professional network marketer. And so I'm not going to tell you that there are people on my team, probably further down or through other veins of my team, who they've done the sip and samples, whatever. I have not. It's not my thing. And what I was going back to about knowing your audience. If your audience is that mom, is the person that wants to stay home and do that, or is comfortable with that, then absolutely do it. Know your audience. And if it's not, then be cautious to present yourself in a way that would not attract the people that you want. So I want the professionals. So you asked me how I get the professionals, is I don't post on Facebook my products. But what I do is I post my lifestyle. And so if you were I use my Facebook page more of a calling card. So I'm not really the person you want to talk to about Facebook marketing. It's just not my thing. I use it as my calling card. I use Facebook to keep my teams together. I'm really good at pick up the phone and call somebody. If I text them, it's to say, hey, how you doing? And I want to get them off the text immediately and onto a personal call, because you could never show the expression that I'm expressing with you, my belief, my excitement, my absolute conviction to this in a text or a text thread. You just can't. Mm-hmm. That's just to create interest. What I do is Zoom opportunity meetings. And so just like what we're doing right here, I did one on Wednesday night, and it was myself, my daughter, my husband, and Joe Ames, the gentleman. And I switch it up every different times. I'll bring up different people so that you're not seeing the same people all the time. And so I have everybody on my team can speak my language. Carol Elizabeth from Canada, and she speaks my language. Somebody was just telling me they quoted me a couple of different times. I've been quoted recently. I'm like, that's awesome. Can you tell me what I said? I'm hoping it was about the business, because I so want people to understand how incredibly exciting it is right now to be in this company. And I know that there are people out there thinking, oh, did I miss it? Or I'm like, no. You did not miss it. We are only in 19 countries. We are going to be in 80 when all is said and done. What country is the melting pot of the world? USA. Guys, North America. You want to be in other countries, you build here first and you let it springboard internationally. And so there's just so much going on right now. But the most exciting part for me is the fact that we're going to go through this vertical growth, bringing in professional people. And I'll tell you, the men are coming. So one of the things I did at the event, we had about 250 people at the event. And that is coming out of being flat for a little while, guys. So that's pretty impressive, right? And so of that, I asked the room of the men to stand. And a third of the room were men. 2 years ago, not even. You would have had the token husband that came with the wife, right? Being dragged along occasionally. You would have had maybe 15 max. A third of the room were men. We had a men's panel, and they were all professionals. And I did that on purpose. I put a college kid in there too. He just graduated from college. And he said, I can actually tell you exactly what my income will be for the next 25 years based on what I would make for what I do for a living. And I'm like, that kid gets it. What he's doing is not going to get him where he wants to go. Right. And so for me, I asked them, I said, how many of you want to do a sip and sample? Nobody raised their hands. So here's what I want to say about that. I'm a big believer in people doing what works for people. And I know that there are people out there that have killed it in the sip and samples. And they have been able to build this from the bottom up like nobody. Okay? I mean, seriously, that's a phenomenal way. I'm just saying that there is another way too. And this way is a more direct to the money. This is, I've got something I want to show you. Are you open? Is this the right time in your life to take a look at something? Because I've got something that if it is, you are going to love me when you figure this out. When you get what I'm talking about, you would jump through any hoop possible to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I sense that from your leaders big time. And what I found so interesting too, Joe was telling me the whole story of you guys being great friends and how you would tell him every Friday night when you guys were having drinks together, you always circle back around, and the timing was finally right for him. So
I made fun of it. I wasn't serious all the time. I'm like, dude, you could be doing what I'm doing. You're traveling all over the world and busting your butt.
Yeah, and finally he came around.
And here's why. I would just say the reason why it legitimately hit home for him is because he was a vice president of sales of a national brand, $200 million company. He had been with them for 22 years. He wasn't an equity owner. Okay. And so he saw the storm clouds coming, as he will say. Well, I would call it the perfect storm. But he saw this storm cloud coming up. These 9,000 stores that closed down last year and 7,000 stores that are going to close down next year before the year even started. He goes, he doesn't even think GNC might make it through the year. He goes, all you have to do is open up a paper. The world is changing to the .com. And that is who we are. We are an online franchise of a .com company that you get to build and be part of that without having to come up with large sums of money. And the reality is that he knew that his career had an end date. He just wanted to be in control of when that was. And he didn't want to miss this financial opportunity. And I want to just put that out there that most people don't have to leave their jobs to do it. In his case, he chose the end date for himself, but he also was putting in 70, 80 hours a week traveling. So there really wasn't a lot of time for him to focus on this. And he knew what was coming. And he opted in.
That's so exciting. I'm getting a lot of feedback in the chat, and I think I came from a party plan company. I've done parties for 20 years when I came here, and so it was very natural for me to start doing sip and samples, launch parties. I did them every single week. I still do them, but what I'm seeing and sensing, and what I'm doing very differently is we're talking about the business now. So the Essence Tour, the whole concept of those gatherings was that it was a social, it was a party, and we were talking more about the business and the opportunity. So I've definitely been making that shift and talking and sharing about it. And I'm seeing in the comments people saying, hallelujah, you don't have to do sip and samples. So
I'm seeing both. I want to address the negative side because I want to put people's hearts at ease. Okay. Yeah. What they're saying, like, so if you focus on the business, how the heck do people get good results? Because the products work. They work. You just put them in your body. I know that this sounds crazy to you guys, but we have videos that explain it. It's called Press Play. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm not a support system. So what we do is we have 2 Facebook pages, okay? We have one for business and we have one for product that are our prospecting pages. And so what we do is we put people in these pages, and you have people in there that are giving their personal testimony lives. We do lives during the once a week for product, once a week for business. Then we add people in with their personal testimonies. We have them do a 1 to 2 minute, make sure that you're compliant, personal testimonies for the product, personal testimony for the business. You add your person to the page that is relevant to their interests. Okay. So for me, I'm going into the business, but then I have to add them to the product because you can't do business without the product. But if there's so many people that just do product and don't mention the business. So if you don't have to be like all over everything in the business. You can simply say the committed consumer part of our business model is insane. And if you just understood that, you would jump through hoops to keep ordering your product every single month. What is the most exciting thing that you could have in your team is to look in your downline and never see a zero, right? Wouldn't that make it exciting? We do 500,000 plus a week in consumption, not sales, in my team. Because people are ordering every month because they're afraid to stop ordering because they don't ever want to see their volumes disappear. Because whether they're building right now or they're going to build later, they want to know it's there. And so I'm not dismissing these products, guys. We're a $6 billion company. They work. I have a woman who's my pharma. She did a video explaining the 5, pillars of health, Melissa Hinault. That's at the top of the video. When they go into the Facebook page, watch this video. I let the expert do the coaching, and then I just handle their questions as they go. If you like the one-on-one relationship, stay doing it. I don't want to change what you're doing. I want people to do whatever you guys want to do. I was just asked to show you that there is a massive financial opportunity coming that is not driven by the 4 products alone. It's actually driven, Kathy spoke into it. Our 5th solution is the best product we have right now because we're about to take this company worldwide. And if you want to participate in that part of it, you want to share the money as well as the product. That's all.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so awesome. And yes, we have so many tools. I saw people answering questions in the chat. So many tools. So for us, we have that product page. I do have a clarifying question. So do you allow prospects in your business page? Because we've kind of talked about that.
So no, I have a business page that my prospects do not go to. Okay. That's my recognition page. That's where we highlight the promotions and stuff like that. And we speak into people. And I think, I told you that we run Monday through Friday morning calls every week of the year, and so we want our people to wake up in the morning and think business. And so we rotate leadership. So different leaders run them each week. So it's not a burden of just one person, but we're building this. My goal is for people to become students of this industry. Okay. And so your products we're not supposed to be the experts. And as my daughter would say to you, is that you want to be the least important person in the room in your network so that you can duplicate it over and over and over and over again. If you become the most important person in the room, you're staying in linear income where you have to be tied to that income. And if that's what you want to do, God bless, do it. Absolutely. We have space for everybody in this business. I'm just opening up possibilities of what's available if you want it to be to you.
And honestly, that's why I'm so attracted to you and what you teach, because it is a different way to look at it. And I absolutely love it. I think you're working smarter, not harder. And you have so much to teach. So I'm just so thrilled that you're going to be on stage at New Year's kickoff and I get to be there with you because I'll be.
I don't think we're going to be doing much teaching, but we'll cast the vision of where we see this is going. But I'll tell you, I did want to clarify because I don't think I fully answered you. We have a team page, but the product and the business prospecting pages are to add your people in and then you can tag somebody, because at the very beginning of this call, I mentioned to you from my original company, what was so impressive is all the people that they walked across the stage and said they came from different careers. And when you came to our Super Saturday, what you were so impressed by was all these different people loaning their credibility to this opportunity, that they're not just here because the products, they'll find a product to love. You get that person, I don't really like that shaker. I didn't really have a good cleanse day or what have you. And I'm like, when you're talking to a business person, believe me, they find a way to fall in love with your product because they want to be a part of the financial opportunity. So there are so many things in our product line. It doesn't have to be the nutrition aspect. It could be just the oils for them to build a network. It doesn't have to be one thing. It's everything.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm going to ask one last question because I want to respect your time here, and I know I've kind of kept you a little longer than I asked. Um, how can people learn to have your belief in network marketing? I know I love Eric Worre. I'm going to his GoPro event for the second time in Vegas, where I think his belief in our industry is absolutely amazing. You can listen to him for free on YouTube, GoPro. Do you have anything else that you recommend to help people get their belief in network marketing and their knowledge in network marketing better?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just open up my training site so I can refer to it. But the one thing that we give all of our business people is, let's see, network marketing. So the GoPro, the Business of the 21st Century from Robert Kiyosaki, the 45-second presentation that will change your life by John Fiala, the U Squared Quantum Leap. I put this up there on the website, at our training. But the one that I give all my business people is the 4-year career. Okay. And so guys, the whole point of network marketing, if you go back to the original of exchanging time for money, is linear income. Leveraged income is where you own your own business, right? And you're more leveraged, or you have money that you can leverage with it. Okay. If you ever seen Robert Kiyosaki's quadrant, and my 25-year-old daughter teaches on this. Are you winning at a losing game? Meaning people that are making good money. There's a difference between financial success and financial freedom. Financial success can become from owning your own business, but you're tied to it. And so if you look at the quadrant, there's two types. You have the employee and you have the self-employed. And so the employee is exchanging time for money, and the self-employed owns their own business, right? I was a hairdresser and I was self-employed when I worked for myself. And so I owned my own job. And then so that represents 95% of the workers in the world and only 5% of the income, the success. If you go to the other quadrant, which is you are owning your own business or you are an investor, you have 95% of the income and only 5% of the people do it. Here's the thing, you get to decide where you want to be. Do you want to be in the exchanging time for money and linear, or do you want to be in the leveraged income that removes you from being the focal point of your income? And so do what you love and love what you do. And whatever that is, that's the blessing of what we have here available to us, that there's something for everybody. And so for me, I wanted to teach my daughter the opportunity. When I came into this industry, came back, I had 3 goals. I said, number 1, I wanted to show my daughter that her mother knew how to work, because I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and she was just 18. And the second thing is I wanted to eventually put my husband in a position where he could retire with the revenue and not worry about the stress of it all. So I've done those 2 things. My daughter is now like with your son, just killing it there with the business. And the third thing that was very important to me is I wanted to help professionalize this industry. That I left it, and I broke my heart. I love this industry, but it had failed me. It had failed my team and my family. And so when I came back, I thought it took me 3 months after that event to make a decision to come back in. And when I came back in, that was one of the main reasons too, is because I knew that one day we would be able to do this right, and we could be the company, we could be the heroes of this industry, and we could hand this off to our next generation, our kids, yes, Trudy, to our children, that we can do that and that we can do it right. It makes me emotional because they're the ones that are going to kill it.
Yeah. And you've done that for me and so many other people already. I think you can check number 3 off your list. You've really done a beautiful job of really professionalizing this industry. And I hope you guys are as fired up as I have. I saw several people saying they're going to need double, triple ionic shots after this call to get to bed tonight. Yeah, I can't thank you.
I'm honored for this opportunity. And I have a video I can send you guys of what we did the other night of just sharing our story. And that's what we send out to people. It wasn't perfect. It was just us chatting away but what it is about this industry that we love so much.
I would love that. And I have a screenshot of all of the references that Susan was talking about. I'll post it under this video in our business page and get a clarification. There's a couple more things I saw come up. I'll get all of that. But I just want to thank you, Susan. You're amazing. Every time I hear you, you totally take my belief to another level I didn't even know was possible. I just adore you. Your family can't wait for New Year's kickoff to be able to do this.
I'm honored to just lock arms with as many leaders as possible that want to do this together, because it's going to take the entire company to put us into this next wave.
Yep. And we're going to ride it together, girlfriend. I love you.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Good night, ladies.